My brother, who came to get me, told me in advance that there was a foster sister living at home with a pampered character and requested that I show tolerance toward her. The moment I stepped inside, that sister jabbed her finger at my face and shouted, "What vagrant is this? Leave immediately." Then she shoved me backward. I gazed at her, then at the refined woman descending the staircase, wondering, is this my biological mom? I watched her expression turn grim as she hurried downstairs and struck her foster daughter across the cheek. "Who do you think you are to dare strike my daughter?" The vehicle halted before the estate. My brother Michael turned to face me. "Sophia, the person you're about to encounter is our mom. She has a sharp temper, but her intentions are kind. There's another thing I must mention in advance." I met his eyes without responding. "There's a sister living here named Nicole. Mom and Dad brought her into the family. She's been indulged and has a somewhat haughty character. If we're going to coexist as a family, please show tolerance toward her." I gave a nod. I experienced no feelings inside. In that modest town residence, I'd shown tolerance toward plenty of things. Michael exhaled with relief, as though worried I'd make a scene. He exited the vehicle and held the door open for me. A middle-aged man dressed in a butler's attire came toward us. "Young master, you've returned?" "Yes, Uncle Harrison. This is my sister, Sophia." Uncle Harrison's attention remained on me for a moment. That expression was layered. There was interest, examination, and disdain. I had worn jeans and a faded t-shirt, sneakers on my feet, entirely mismatched with this ornate, splendid estate. Michael took hold of my wrist and guided me inside. "Where are Mom and Dad?" "Sir is at the office. Madam is relaxing upstairs," Uncle Harrison replied. We had barely stepped into the entrance hall when a figure rose from the parlor couch. It was a girl roughly my age. She had on a luxury princess gown, her hair styled in flawless waves. Her complexion was radiantly fair. When she noticed me, her lovely eyes instantly brimmed with animosity. She approached swiftly, like a small creature whose domain had been breached. "Michael, who did you bring home?" Her tone was piercing. Michael's expression tightened. "Nicole, this is Sophia. I mentioned her to you, our biological sister." Nicole stared, sliced across my face like a blade. She sneered. "Biological sister? I think she's some vagrant from somewhere. What sort of place is our home? How dare this type of person enter? Leave right now?" After finishing, she extended her hand and shoved forcefully against my bosom. I lost my footing. I staggered backward 2 paces and collided with the shoe cabinet behind me. My lower spine was painfully struck by the cabinet edge. I lifted my head and observed her calmly. Nicole felt uneasy under my observation, but then grew even more defiant. "What are you staring at? Believe it or not, I'll tear your eyes out." Just then, an icy female voice echoed from the staircase. "Who are you addressing?" We all glanced upward. A refined woman in a silk gown was positioned at the summit of the second-floor staircase. She was remarkably well preserved, her actual age difficult to determine. Her features faintly resembled mine. "Is this my biological mom?" I wondered to myself. Michael's demeanor shifted immediately. She instantly concealed all her aggression and adopted a tender, pathetic smile. "Mommy, you're awake." Michael brought back some questionable person, and I was about to remove her. She rushed to the base of the stairs, gazing up sweetly. The refined woman disregarded her. Her attention moved past Nicole and settled on me. In those eyes, intricate feelings I couldn't comprehend were swirling. There was astonishment, remorse, and sorrow. Her demeanor gradually grew somber. She swiftly descended the stairs. Her heels tapped against the marble flooring, producing sharp sounds. Each stride felt like it was striking my bosom. She approached us. Nicole attempted to speak. "Mommy, look at what she's dressed in." Before she could complete her sentence, slap. A sharp sound reverberated through the entire parlor. Nicole's head pulled to the side. 5 distinct fingerprints rapidly surfaced on her fair cheek. She clutched her face, staring at her foster mother in disbelief. Mom, you struck me. The refined woman, my biological mother, Victoria. She didn't even acknowledge Nicole. Her eyes remained on me throughout. Her eyes were crimson. Her voice wavered, yet held undeniable power. Who do you think you are? How dare you strike my daughter? The atmosphere in the parlor solidified. Uncle Harrison and the adjacent servants all dropped their heads, not daring to utter a sound. Michael was also stunned. He likely never anticipated that his typically refined mother would strike someone, particularly her most cherished foster daughter. Nicole's tears dropped like shattered pearls. Mom, I'm not your mom. Victoria's voice was frigid. She finally shifted her attention from me to Nicole. From this day forward, address me as Mrs. Thompson or Director Victoria. I have only one daughter, and her name is Sophia. After Victoria concluded, she moved toward me. She extended her hand, intending to caress my face, but as though afraid of frightening me, she paused midair. Her hand was faintly shaking. Sophia, Mommy is sorry I allowed you to endure outside. For so many years, I observed her, uncertain how to respond. For 20 years, I'd envisioned numerous scenarios of encountering my biological parents, but never this particular one. So powerful, so theatrical. Nicole's weeping intensified. She recovered from her shock and commenced her act. Mrs. Thompson, what have I done wrong? I was merely concerned a fraud came to the house, attempting to safeguard you and Dad. I was unaware she truly was my sister. I was simply watching out for this family. She wept miserably, appearing devastated. In a different context, I might have trusted her. Michael also recovered his senses. He stepped over, regarding Victoria with some discomfort. Mom, Nicole didn't intend it. That's simply her character. She doesn't have malicious intentions. Victoria shot him an icy glance. Be quiet. I haven't addressed matters with you yet. I requested you to collect your sister, and this is how you safeguard her, allowing her to be labeled a vagrant the instant she enters. Michael's face flushed and he dropped his head. You what? Incompetent. After reprimanding her son, Victoria turned back to Nicole. There was no warmth in her gaze. Watching out for this family. You reside in our house, consume our food, dress in our garments. Now my biological daughter has returned and you find her irritating. Nicole, I truly misjudged you. Before. Nicole shook her head while weeping. No. She wept so intensely she could scarcely breathe, her frame trembling. Just then, the entrance was opened once more. A composed male voice came through. Why is it so chaotic in here? A middle-aged man in a suit with distinguished features entered. An aide holding a briefcase trailed behind him. This was my biological father, Richard Thompson. As soon as Richard stepped in, he witnessed the confrontation in the parlor, and Nicole covering her face and weeping. His brow instantly creased. Nicole spotted him like a rescuer. She wept and hurled herself at him. Daddy. She flung herself into Richard's embrace, sobbing devastatingly. Daddy, you're finally here. Mommy doesn't desire me anymore. Richard stroked her back, gently consoling her. He gazed up at Victoria, his tone irritated. Victoria, what's happening? What has Nicole done wrong for you to handle her like this? He noticed the swelling on Nicole's face. His demeanor grew even gloomier. You struck her. Victoria folded her arms and sneered. I struck her to instruct her in manners, to instruct her who the actual master of this house is. Richard turned his attention to me. His look was more unfiltered than Uncle Harrison's. It was blatant examination and doubt, as though assessing the worth of a product. Nicole wept in his embrace while complaining, Daddy. I was unaware who she was. Michael brought her back. She didn't utter a word and stared at me with those eyes. I was merely frightened, so I shoved her slightly. Then Mommy descended and struck me. Without inquiring anything, she stated she is only Sophia as a daughter, and instructed me to exit this house. Her statements were partially accurate, partially fabricated. She entirely absolved herself. Came a pitiful little thing, mistreated by a stranger and her mother. Richard's demeanor grew progressively unpleasant. He regarded Victoria. Victoria, even if Sophia has returned, you cannot handle Nicole like this. She's resided in our home for 20 years. After all, when you instruct her to exit, where is she meant to go? Victoria laughed with fury. Richard Thompson, understand this clearly. The one being mistreated right now is your biological daughter. He just entered and was labeled a vagrant by your treasured foster daughter and shoved down. Why don't you inquire how your biological daughter is doing? Only then did Richard truly observe me. He examined my attire from top to bottom, his frown intensifying. You're Sophia. His tone contained no happiness at encountering his biological daughter, only detachment and interrogation. I hadn't uttered anything this entire time. Now I opened my mouth when I was shoved. My lower spine collided with the shoe cabinet. My voice wasn't strong, but it was distinct. It still aches somewhat now. The parlor fell silent. Richard's hand froze on Nicole's shoulder. Victoria's eyes reddened further. She stepped toward me, her heels clicking. Sophia, where does it hurt? She reached out again, this time touching my shoulder. I didn't retreat. Her fingers were warm. My lower spine. Victoria's face twisted with anger. She turned to Richard. Your biological daughter was pushed down by your foster daughter. And you haven't even asked if she's injured. Richard's expression shifted. He looked at Nicole, then back at me. The air in the room grew heavy. Nicole sensed something changing. She tightened her grip on Richard's arm. Daddy, I told you, I was frightened. She was staring at me so strangely. I didn't mean to push her that hard. Her voice trembled. Richard's gaze remained on me. He seemed to be weighing something. Finally, he spoke. Sophia, can you walk? I nodded. Yes, but it hurts when I move too quickly. Richard turned to Uncle Harrison. Call Dr. Evans. Have him examine Sophia immediately. Uncle Harrison bowed. Yes, sir. He hurried away. Victoria's shoulders relaxed slightly. She turned to Michael. Take Sophia to her room. The one next to mine. Michael nodded. He approached me carefully. Sophia, come with me. I stood up slowly. My lower spine throbbed. I took a step, then another. Nicole watched, her eyes narrowing. Daddy, you're really calling a doctor for her? She's probably exaggerating. Richard looked at her sharply. Nicole, that's enough. Nicole's face fell. But Daddy, go to your room. I'll speak with you later. Nicole's eyes filled with tears again. She released Richard's arm and ran upstairs. The sound of her door slamming echoed through the house. Richard turned to Victoria. We need to talk. Victoria nodded. She looked at me. Sophia, go with Michael. I'll check on you after I speak with your father. I followed Michael up the grand staircase. The walls were adorned with paintings. Crystal chandeliers cast soft light. Everything was beautiful, expensive, foreign. Michael opened a door. This is your room. I stepped inside. The room was larger than my entire apartment in Modest Town. A four-poster bed dominated the space. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the estate gardens. A private bathroom was visible through an open door. Michael stood in the doorway. I'm sorry about earlier. I should have protected you better. I looked at him. You warned me about Nicole. I knew what to expect. He looked relieved. If you need anything, just ask. My room is down the hall. He closed the door. I stood alone in the center of the room. The silence was deafening. I walked to the window. The gardens were perfectly manicured. Flowers I couldn't name bloomed in neat rows. Everything here was controlled, orderly. Nothing like the wild, chaotic life I'd known. A knock on the door. Come in. Uncle Harrison entered with an older man. This is Dr. Evans. Dr. Evans approached me. Miss Thompson, I understand you injured your lower back. I nodded. Your foster daughter pushed me. I fell against a shoe cabinet. Dr. Evans nodded. May I examine you? I allowed him to check my spine. His fingers were professional, gentle. There's some bruising. Nothing serious, but it will be sore for a few days. He handed me a bottle of pills. Take one of these if the pain becomes severe. Apply this cream to the area twice a day. He placed a small tube on the bedside table. Thank you. Dr. Evans and Uncle Harrison left. I sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress was impossibly soft. I opened the drawer of the nightstand. Inside was a framed photograph. A young woman holding a baby. The woman looked like Victoria. The baby had my eyes. Victoria must have placed it there. I touched the glass. 20 years. A knock again. The door opened without waiting for a response. Victoria entered. She closed the door behind her. She stood there, uncertain. Sophia. I looked at her. She was beautiful, elegant, everything I wasn't. And she was my mother. She approached slowly. How's your back? Dr. Evans said it's bruised. It will heal. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry. I should have found you sooner. I never stopped looking. But your father. She stopped. What about him? She hesitated. Richard didn't want to find you. He said Nicole needed us more. I looked at her. Why? Victoria sat beside me. 20 years ago, I gave birth to you. But complications arose. I was in a coma for 3 months. When I woke, you were gone. Richard said you'd died. He said the hospital made a mistake. I believed him. I grieved for years. Then he brought Nicole home. She was an orphan from the same hospital. He said we should give her the life we couldn't give you. I poured all my love into her. Her voice broke. This morning, I found the truth. Richard had arranged for you to be sent away. He paid off the hospital staff. He created false death records. My private investigator finally found the hospital records. The nurse who took the bribe confessed. Why? Victoria's hands clenched. He never wanted a biological daughter. He said daughters were liabilities. He wanted a son to inherit the family business. With Nicole, he could mold her however he wanted. With you. She looked at me. With you, he was afraid you'd be like me. Strong-willed, independent. He couldn't control that. I absorbed this information. My father had given me away because he was afraid I'd be too much like my mother. And my mother had spent 20 years loving the wrong daughter. Where is he now? Victoria wiped her eyes. He's in his study. With Nicole. I stood up. My back throbbed. Where are you going? To talk to him. Victoria grabbed my arm. Sophia, be careful. He's not what you think he is. I looked at her hand on my arm. I know what he is. But he needs to know who I am. I walked to the door. Sophia. I turned. Whatever happens, I'm on your side. I have only one daughter. Her voice was firm. I nodded and left the room. The hallway was long and quiet. I could hear voices from downstairs. I followed them to a heavy oak door. Richard's study. I knocked. Enter. I opened the door. Richard sat behind a massive desk. Nicole sat across from him, holding his hand. They both looked up. Richard's expression hardened. What do you want? I stepped inside. I want to know why. Why what? Why you gave me away? Richard's face remained impassive. I don't know what you're talking about. Nicole spoke up. Daddy, she's trying to cause trouble again. Can't you make her leave? Richard silenced her with a look. He stood up and walked around the desk. He towered over me. Sophia, you need to understand something. This family has a certain image to maintain. We have a certain standard. He gestured at Nicole. Nicole fits that standard. She was raised to be a Thompson. You are not. I looked him in the eye. So you gave me away because I didn't fit your image. Richard's lips thinned. I did what was necessary for this family. And now that you're back, I expect you to fall in line. You will learn how to behave. You will learn your place. Nicole smirked. See, Daddy? She thinks she can just come here and… Enough. The voice came from the doorway. Victoria stood there, her face cold. Richard turned to her. Victoria, this is a family matter. No, Richard. This is a criminal matter. She walked into the room. I've spent the last hour making phone calls. I've contacted the police. I've contacted my lawyers. Richard's face paled. What are you talking about? I'm talking about kidnapping, falsifying documents, obstruction of justice. Victoria's voice was steady. For 20 years, you kept my daughter from me. You lied to me. You committed crimes. Richard's composure cracked. Victoria, you can't be serious. She's my daughter too. No, Richard. She's my daughter. And I'm taking her back. Victoria turned to me. Sophia, pack your things. You're coming with me. Richard stepped forward. You can't take her. She's a Thompson. Victoria laughed. Not anymore. I'm divorcing you. And I'm taking half of everything, including this house. Richard's face turned red. You can't do this. I've already done it. The papers are being drawn up. Victoria looked at Nicole. And as for you, Nicole shrank back. You've spent 20 years bullying anyone who threatened your position. You pushed my daughter today. You called her a vagrant. You made her life miserable the moment she walked through that door. Victoria's voice was ice cold. Since you love your dear daddy so much, you can stay here with him. My lawyers have already submitted all the evidence to the police. They're on their way to arrest Richard for kidnapping, falsifying documents, and obstruction of justice. You can watch him be taken away in handcuffs. You can help him face bankruptcy. You can share his prison visits. Nicole's face went white. Mommy, no. Don't call me Mommy. Victoria turned to me. Let's go, Sophia. The police will be here any minute. I don't want you to witness this. I followed her out of the room. Richard's voice echoed behind us. You'll regret this, Victoria. We walked up the stairs. My back still hurt, but for the first time in my life, I felt like I could stand tall. In my room, I grabbed the photograph from the nightstand. Victoria watched me. I'm keeping this. She smiled. Of course. We walked out of the Thompson estate together. Michael was waiting by the car. He looked at Victoria, then at me. Mom, what's happening? I'm leaving your father. And Sophia is coming with me. Michael's eyes widened. What did he do? Victoria's voice was heavy. He gave Sophia away when she was born. He falsified her death records. He kept her from me for 20 years. Michael's face went pale. He stared at the estate, then at me. All these years. He shook his head. I called that man father. I trusted him. He turned to Victoria. Mom, I'm sorry. I should have known. I should have protected Sophia better. He looked at me. Sophia, I'm so sorry. I failed you as a brother. I looked at him. You warned me. That was enough. Michael nodded. I'm not staying here. I'm coming with you. I can't live under the same roof as a man who would do that to his own child. Victoria smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. Get in the car. Michael nodded and opened the back door for me. Victoria and I got into the car. As we drove away, I looked back at the estate. It was beautiful, grand, everything I'd never had. But I didn't want it anymore. I had something better. I had a mother who chose me. Victoria reached over and took my hand. Her fingers were warm. Sophia, tell me about your life. I want to know everything. So I told her. I told her about Modest Town. About the small apartment. About the neighbors who helped when I was sick. About the jobs I worked to survive. About the dreams I'd had and the ones I'd given up. She listened, tears streaming down her face. When I finished, she squeezed my hand. You're strong, Sophia. Stronger than I ever was. I looked at her. I had to be. She nodded. I know. And I'm sorry you had to be. We drove in silence for a while. Then she spoke again. What do you want to do now? What do you want to study? What do you want to be? I thought about it. For 20 years, I'd survived. I hadn't had the luxury of wanting. But now, I want to help people. People like me. People who were given away, forgotten, left behind. Victoria smiled. Then that's what you'll do. We'll find a way. The car turned onto a highway. The sun was setting, casting golden light across the sky. I watched it through the window. For the first time in my life, I wasn't looking back. I was looking forward. And for the first time in 20 years, I wasn't alone. I had a mother. I had a future. And I had myself. Sophia Thompson. Not the daughter Richard wanted. but the daughter Victoria needed. The daughter I was always meant to be. The end.